Welcome on the News Review. Thank you for staying with us. It's always a pleasure serving you. But as we start the News Review this morning, right before I get into the papers, I just want to share a few thoughts with you on two matters. One has to do with this continued assault on journalists, unabated. The question is why? On the back of the human rights report, as far as the U.S. State Department is concerned, we saw it, we didn't like it. We didn't like some of the things in there, but we said, oh, well, maybe the situation is better than it is, than they painted. Then we had our Reporters Without Borders report, and we saw the gargantuan fall. It appears we've still not learned. Attacks here, attacks there, attacks in Adan, attacks in the Greater Accra region. Sometimes people affiliated to political parties taking the law into their own hands. Reverend ministers, party foot soldiers, call them whatever you will. Goons, they go around and they sow the seed of terror in media people. But what exactly have we done? What is our crime? So the latest one, Benya FM in Elmina, and that's one of our crucial conversations we're having this morning. But as a media person, I'm reflecting on this and wondering, why is all of this happening? They're talking about premixed fuel and certain things that are not going the right way. And the best way of resolving it is for party goons to hit their studios, vandalize equipment. If you've ever done anything related to media, you know how expensive it is, the gadgets we use. Vandalize equipment and beat the presenter to a pulp. Yeah, 21st century Ghana. Makes for very excruciating reading. And with all of this happening, you begin to ask yourself, what is the crime of the media? It appears with the political parties, when they are in power and we say anything, it must be that we're in opposition to them. And for the opposition, it must mean that, yes, they are very supportive, and vice versa. But why must it be so? We've been referencing, for example, how the president himself, and we don't shy away from this, said that just because we were asking people, analyzing free SHS, that a certain media entity was against it. But are we? These are the things that arm those at the base. And sometimes they take the law into their own hands. Today we're having that discussion, and I would love it if you joined us to dilate on the matter, because it is becoming one too many. And as bastions of this democracy, as the fourth estate, if we step aside, I think you know what will happen. Let's pray for Ghana. The second bit I want to get into right before I hit the daily graphic, Ghana Police Service. What is going on? In Koranza the simmering tension there has not even, the layer has not been removed. Then we hear of this situation with Talata Wuni, a young woman shot by police at a checkpoint in Karimenga near the Upper East region. And now the bullets are still lodged in her as of the last that I checked or heard, and her life hangs in the balance. Ghana Police Service. You're no longer a force. You're a service now. And I feel why I'm hammering this morning. The elements we're putting into the service. I have seen people in the past who were not exactly your kosher people, but they found themselves into the police. And I blame the politicians for this, because you're trying to create jobs for the boys and the girls. And these boys and girls, some of them with nefarious characters, get in there and all kinds of things happen. The other day I was speaking to a very prominent person in this country, I cannot mention. He was on a certain committee from way back, about 2 decades back. And what happened to some people merely guarding their community? People killed. What have we done to our security services, the police and the military? Food for thought, things for you to reflect on. Sometimes it hurts being passionate about this country, but we have to continue. That is our work. The Daily Graphic this morning, deepen trade within Africa. President Akufo-Addo challenges business leaders. And the president has made a clarion call to African countries to increase trade within the continent for them to stand on their own feet. That, he said, was in view of the current derangement of the global commodities market, supply chains and logistics occasioned by the Russia-Ukraine crisis, which had culminated in fertilizer shortages around the globe. He said the situation could affect maize and soya production in African countries, including Ghana, and had greater shocks in Ghana's poultry industry. The president made the call when he opened the 22nd Academy of Business and Development Conference at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, yesterday. And so that is the latest from that development. But let's get into other stories now. And special supplement on automobile industry. You can grab the details of that. But how about this one? It's a big one, isn't it? The fight against corruption. Former PPA boss charged for procurement breaches. It's on page 13. Let's quickly get to that portion of the paper because it's an issue I definitely have to get into. So the special prosecutor has charged a former chief executive officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boateng Ajay, with 17 counts of corruption-related offenses. Ajay will on Wednesday, May the 25th, 2022, appear before the High Court Criminal Division to answer 8 counts of using public office for profit and 9 counts of directly and indirectly influencing the procurement process to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of a procurement. Now, on August 22, 2029, still giving you a bit of a background, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo suspended Ajay from office following the broadcast of allegations made against him in a publication by the freelance journalist Manasseh Azure Awene titled Contracts for Sale. The president then referred the allegations involving conflict of interest to the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and those relating to potential acts of corruption to the Office of the Special Prosecutor for their action. Well, Ajay allegedly held the majority share of 60% in Talent Discovery Limited. It goes on and on. It talks about the evidence and all of that. But so the court system allowing him to access his funds has got many tongues wagging, hasn't it? But then again, we have the special prosecutor stepping in and slapping him with all of these charges. Only time will tell on how these matters develop. Only time will tell. The fight against graft is on. And whether supported or not, it will go on unabated. In Kwanzaa disturbances, 1 dead, 8 injured, story on pages 16 and 21. But let me say a very good morning to Liz Hayfan Asari, media consultant. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning.
I love how you've taken us up north this morning with your outfit. Lovely outfit, as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Since you are rocking that outfit, let me start the conversation with you from the end of Talata Wuni, a young woman who was shot by police at a checkpoint at Karimenga near the Upper East region. And she fears for her life now. Bullets were lodged into her. This was at a police checkpoint, and she was on a motorbike. No crime, nothing done. Another one suffering, what should I call it? Reckless activities from the police. How do you respond?
I'm beginning to wonder what is happening with the police. They seem to be trigger happy. And when you hear the story and you can't find fault with the victim, then you wonder, why did they shoot in the first place? If you haven't stopped the person to talk to the person or to question the person about anything, why shoot? Why is your first resort to shooting?
Right.
And it is very worrying for me because the police are supposed to be the friendliest when you talk about the security services, because they are dealing with us one-on-one. So we should be able to go to them and talk to them without fear. And if they want information, they expect us to volunteer the information that we have concerning activities around us.
How will people do that when they're afraid of you? Because now
Exactly.
they
When
sow
you're
the
not
seed of
keeping it
fear.
right. But then again, you realize that some people go to offer information and then they end up being interrogated as if they are the perpetrators of whatever you're trying to resolve.
Right.
And so people are very weary of the police, and this is making it worse to make the people, and that's why you can see that in Kranza, the youth have risen up against the police.
Right.
Very soon, the police would not have any respect in the communities, and that's not the way we want it to be.
And that's a sad, pirouette, if you like, because it's a sad turnaround. When Dr. Dampare started, and he still has our full support, but I feel some of the men and women in navy blue are detracting from the agenda because he started so well and he still has a lot of respect. Look at Nkranza. Look at how he is in touch when there's something in a community. He gets there himself. I think during the last Christmas, he stepped out, was in La Paz and all of that. Yes. He is hands-on. He is speaking to people. He is not someone up there, he is hands-on doing stuff. But some of the elements in there are making work very difficult for him and for all of us because it reflects him when they misconduct themselves. So a whole lot.
Exactly, and it will take him a while to weed out the bad nuts, but they must be weeded out.
They must be weeded out. Speaking of which, let's rope in the Nkranza disturbances. Story on page 16 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. 1 dead, 8 injured. And that is 1 dead after Arnold Akwesi Donko. So 1 person died while 8 others sustained gunshot injuries during a protest over the death of a 28-year-old man, Albert Donko in Nkranza in the Bono East region last Tuesday. I'll not do much in terms of reading the story, but we all know the facts as of what, or at least the facts as presented by the police and also as presented by the family of Arnold and others. But here we go. What even broke my heart further yesterday, reminiscent of Ejura, another person losing his life. And this is someone, you could say maybe in the prime of youth, 19 years, Form 3, 3 months to go to sit his exam. Probably a bypasser, donning school uniform, shot in the head. In the head.
Yes, and I cringe because my question is that if you're trying to calm people who are on rampage, why go with live bullets? Is that the training that they've been giving, that they should go against citizens with live bullets? It beats my mind. I thought that the police was better than what it is showing us to be. Is violence the best way to bring calm in a situation where people are angered, people are probably grieving, people are disturbed because of what you have done before? And the better ways of taming a rowdy crowd, and the better ways of calming a rowdy crowd. Why should the police be at loggerheads with anybody? Why should the police not try to get people to calm down and listen and understand the situation that they're in? And for me, I was wondering if just pulling out the 57 policemen in Nkranza is going to better the situation in any way, because if you pull out 57 and you send other policemen, they are still policemen. They're not looking at them as individuals. They are looking at them as police. So I think that a lot more work needs to be done with the police education on how to handle crowds and how to deal with people that are rampaging.
Right. So that is the story there. I'll bring you another one that I want us to get into, but on the back page of the Daily Graphic, Hearts beat Gold Stars by 1-0. I must say that it's not been bad for Hearts of Oak in recent times. They were somewhere mid-league table not too long ago, but here they are, actually in 3rd spot now with 47 points. They've played 29 matches. So have Bachem United in second spot. It's just a point difference between them. And a goal, is it a goal difference as well? Okay. Yeah, just about a goal difference between them as well. But, of course, a certain Krobia Kumasi Asante Kotoko, the fabulous Porcupine Warriors, occupying top spot. My producer can't be here in the studio with me, else he would have been shouting, but I am in the chair, I am in the studio, and Asante Kotoko is in the lead. And we even have a game in hand, 56 points. Do you follow football, Liz?
I sit and watch it when the guys in my house decide that you can't watch anything else but soccer, but it's not my fault.
I see. All right, so I think it goes without saying that you don't have a team necessarily that you support. Between Kotoko, Black Stars. Okay, that will do. That will do. Just another issue. We've wrapped with the daily graphic. We'll get into the Ghanaian Times, but there's also this bit about, and I was talking about it before you joined me. Another radio station has been attacked. Elmina, Benya FM, equipment vandalized, presenter assaulted. Again, you remember Adan, you remember other incidents, you remember reverend ministers going to, stations with people armed to the teeth and assaulting them. It appears, and this on the back of questions raised about premixed fuel and access to them and supposedly being given to party people, and that is the result. How we're going to decouple media working from political elements assaulting people, I do not know. But you're a media consultant. What's your reflection?
I believe that we've gotten to a stage where people are taking the law into their own hands. And so people are doing anything and getting away with it. And if the authorities do not sit up, then we have a problem on our hands. If we as the media are supposed to be telling the stories, and we are not allowed to tell the stories as they are, then there's a big problem for us as a nation, because the media kinds of reflects society. All we're doing is being the mirror and telling others what is happening in the society. And if we are not being allowed to do that freely, and if we are not safe in carrying out our work, then there is a lot to worry about. So it's important that the media organizations, the Media Commission, the GJA, come together and sit around the table. There must be a discourse between government and the media as to ensuring a safe environment for us to carry out our work. If that is not done, then this will keep recurring. If the perpetrators are not brought to book, then somebody sees it and thinks that, oh, okay, after all, it happened in Adan, nothing happened. It happened in Elmina, nothing happened.
Right.
So people will continue attacking the media. But there must be a stop to it. It must stop, and it must stop now.
It must stop now. There is a reaction, though, in the Ghanaian Times newspaper on page 4. Information Ministry condemns attack on Benya FM presenter. And the Ministry of Information has condemned the assault on Benya FM presenter Osofo Blessing by unnamed men during an on-air program last Monday. The ministry has therefore called on the District Police Command to promptly investigate and prosecute the alleged perpetrators. Now, a statement issued by the ministry in Accra yesterday said the action by the thugs was unnecessary and without justification. It noted that the attack on the broadcaster was unacceptable and that, quote, there is no justification whatsoever for a broadcaster to be assaulted simply for doing his work. But while I agree with this rhetoric, what we see on the ground is something else altogether. The past cases and those who have been involved, ask yourself, what happened to them? What? So we feed impunity.
Yes. And let's hope that the district police command will act swiftly and bring the perpetrators to book, so that people would realize that now it is a serious matter and nobody is going to go scotch-free when you attack the media house or you attack media personnel. I think that there's always a beginning. Maybe we've been lax in the past, but there's always a beginning. And I would say that even as it starts now, because this is a fresh case, the ones that have happened already should also be investigated and the perpetrators brought to book.
I totally agree with you. I mean, someone was mentioning yesterday, and I'm in total agreement with that person. When he suggested, I think it was a message that came through. Look at what happened to George Floyd, and then the consequences for the police officers, especially the one who got the most hefty sentence. Do that here. Let's say for people attacking media entities, or like in the case of the police, what has happened in Ejura and in Koranza, and maybe this latest development up north in the Upper East region. Then people will start realizing, ooh, you can't do this and get away with it. But as it stands now, they are getting away with it, and that is the problem. That is the problem. Let's get into other stories in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. President Akufo-Addo expresses concern over Russia-Ukraine war impact on food security. 200 acres of CSIR land at Fafraha encroached on, and this is becoming another trend. State institutions or others land apportioned to them, encroachment when they don't use them, and even the state can't do FOCO. Interesting times. Staff under threat by land guards. Then procurement breaches. 150 offenders face prosecution. PAC refers them to AG for trial. But just to wrap with the paper, the Ghanaian Times newspaper, butcher arrested for allegedly murdering colleague over earpiece. Yes, butcher arrested for allegedly murdering colleague over earpiece. I guess he took his butchering antics a step too far. Nothing to play with, but forgive the pun or the play on words. A butcher has been arrested by the police in connection with the murder of his colleague during a scuffle over an earpiece at Akotu Junction near Kaneshi in Accra on Tuesday. Now, the suspect, Baba Ibrahim, 23, who is in the custody of the police assisting an investigation, was reported to have stabbed Al-Hassan Zakari, 25, with a broken bottle during the fight. The Kaneshi Divisional Police Commander, Assistant Commissioner of Police Edward Fachikumi, confirmed the tragedy to the Ghanaian Times in Accra yesterday. You know, it keeps going back. Yesterday, I was at a mental health discussion, and I was asking myself and posing the question to the facilitator about why we seem to be seeing so many of these. Someone has bathed someone with acid. Another person has slashed someone because he was denied sex. Someone, earpiece. I mean, I don't understand though. I don't know about you. I don't know what is going on, Liz.
I'm trying hard to wrap my mind around it. An earpiece. It resulted in a scuffle.
Right.
But again, you see, we are in times where people value even the littlest things that they have, because money is very hard to come by. Cost of living has gone up. It says a hungry man is an angry man. So one thing could lead to another. My questions are, were they friends? If he was your friend and he had your earpiece, right. I mean, couldn't you take it back in a more civil way? Probably something else resulted in the scuffle, and then the earpiece became the bane of contention. But then you see it happening now because a lot of people want value for money for everything that they're doing. And therefore, if you take my earpiece and I didn't give it to you and I want it back, you must just hand it back. It shouldn't lead to a scuffle, but it does, because already people are seething inside from all kinds of problems that they're facing. And things like this would become rampant because the littlest thing, the person is fired up and is very angry, and it could lead to all kinds of things. When you're angry, right, your actions are way out of control.
Let's get into our final stories as we get ready to wrap. This one says, and it's the Daily Guide newspaper now, 2 tigers scare Ridge residents. Interesting story. brings to mind Mike Tyson and others. And even Mike says he laments those days, having tigers and all. But some residents at Wanda World Estates, Avenue Lincoln at Ridge in Accra have expressed worry over the presence of 2 tigers. They are tiger cubs, all right, but they are huge. You should see the pictures. In the estate believed to be owned by business mogul Nana Kwame Bediako, popularly known as Freedom Jacob Caesar. But you know what this brings to mind? I'm wondering what the law, what it allows when it comes to keeping animals like this. You go to different jurisdictions and there are do's and don'ts when it comes to this. I don't know whether this is allowed, and residents claim that the animals stink, that those animals are held inside an apartment where there is no access to proper fresh air, and as soon as the door is open, you sniff a strong, unpleasant smell emanating from them. But the biggest threat is the fact that these are tigers, and you know what tigers can do. I don't know whether you have any thoughts on that, but we could wrap with this story as well. Business Finder: food shortages imminent in Africa as import of agro inputs from Ukraine and Russia is cut off. That's according to Nanado. Will protect public from high tariffs. That's according to the PURC. You can pick one of those stories to wrap with briefly, and it's a wrap. Liz?
My concern is food security, and I'm wondering why we still don't have other ways of going by growing our food. If Russia, Ukraine is going to cause a problem for us,
right?
And the ways that we can grow our food with more natural fertilizers.
Right.
I keep saying that when you go to the markets and you see the huge pile of refuse, half of it is organic. Half of it is food. Can't we make compost out of it? Before importing these fertilizers, how are we growing our food?
Right.
And the lessons from the past that we can go back and fall on.
Right.
And you're looking at, why is it only imminent in Africa? What about the other regions? They don't import fertilizer from Russia, Ukraine, so it doesn't have an impact on them. Right. I think that we should be more innovative in the way we do our things. And I think that farmers here have even said that it is better when we grow our food organically.
Right.
Without all these fertilizers that makes it look as if the produce is very good, or it looks very fresh when you harvest it, but after a few days you realize that it deteriorates quickly because of the fertilizers that have been used. So let's get we have scientists here who have done a lot in agric and would have ideas as to, I'm sure there probably are researchers sitting on shelves somewhere that probably could have helped us. When it was the time of Operation Feed Yourself, how did we manage to get so much food without importing so much fertilizer from outside? It's been done before. I'm sure we can do it again.
We can do it again.
Inside, yes. We should work from inside and stop always looking outside and thinking that everything that's coming from outside is the best.
Well, we can do it right here. Thank you, Liz, for joining us for another Thursday morning, and do have a brilliant day.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we have sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and he has quite the lineup for us. Do stay.